Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to a brand new video today discussing improvements to be made to F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Now, these aren't new game ideas, these are working off what we've already got in My Team and thinking, how could they be tweaked and refined and made better into the next game. Obviously, we've played a decent amount now, about over a season and a half of My Team Career Mode, so I feel like I'm well experienced enough to talk about the subject and kind of see different areas of the game that I feel like are good, but could be made even better with some tweaks. So let's get into it. Improvements. Let me know down in the comments below if you have any others that I haven't mentioned in this video, but let's go. So number one are going to be the driver contracts, your teammate contracts. I feel like they could be a lot more intricate like they are in Motorsport Manager and just a bit more detailed and have basically more to do, because right now all you do is you pay a lump sum of money to either buy out their contract and then pay them, or just pay them if you're going to re-sign your teammate, and that's pretty much it. And then obviously we're told that from the extra cash they have, that's kind of the difference from their value. They might spend that money, the AI might decide to spend that money on some perks, but I feel like they could maybe build in the perks into the actual contract when you're signing it. And like with Motorsport Manager, instead of having a lump sum I'm paying, like 8 million for Sainz for half the year, give me the option, or have the option, of showing it in monthly payments and actually allow us to manage it month to month. So you have actually that, pressure of, oh, there's an X amount of money coming out this month, but we're spending a lot on the car, but we've also got to make sure we can afford the driver's salary this month, rather than having a lump sum. Even though it kind of makes it difficult in terms of you have to save up a lot of money to get the contract, it means there's less pressure race to race. And I feel like in Motorsport Manager, that was always the really fun thing for me when I played that game, was the pressure, race to race, week to week, that there's maybe some cash flow issues, and having the driver contracts being like that, like in real life, monthly, rather than, paying a lump sum at the start of the year for half the year, it'd be much better to do that. And then, like I said, building in the perks as well, maybe just allows a bit more control from our side. I know it's meant to be the AI driver choosing his own perks, but we're the manager of the team, so it might make sense to maybe decide few perks that are temporary only if they're with us, and then those perks go away once they transfer away out of our team, essentially. I also think you should definitely build in bonus payments when you sign drivers. If you want to try and entice them, let's say they want an acclaim level of level 18, you have level 16, to try and grease the wheels, maybe you can offer an upfront bonus payment in the contract negotiations that might just allow you to sign that driver, or at least talk to them about signing. And then also, very much, this is straight out Motorsport Manager, but it's such a great mechanic, allow us to pay them bonuses for certain race results. So, P1 in qualifying, you get a bonus. For P1 in the race, you get a bonus. It also then means it's going to be interesting, because if you sign a very good driver and they're very good in your car, you're going to have to pay a lot of money for those bonuses. Let's say you sign them when you don't think they're going to be able to get that, and then eventually they do. It just creates a bit more of an issue for the player. It makes it more challenging, because I feel like on that side of things, the money side, once you get past season 1, the money isn't really much of a pressure anymore. Number 2 is going to be the driver market. Now, I'll kind of contradict myself here, because I'm going to say I want a bit more realism, but I love a good, amount of crazy driver transfers. It's a video game. I don't want it to be boring like in real life F1, so I want a load of driver transfers, but at the same time, it'd be nice to see some realistic mechanics to give those. So maybe have AI teams confirming before the end of the season they're not going to re-sign a driver, a la Ferrari confirming they're not going to re-sign Sebastian Vettel, and then they go sign Sainz. If you were told that in emails, like, oh, Verstappen is not going to be re-signed by Red Bull, they're not going to re-sign, or Verstappen does not want to re-sign the contract for Red Bull, then you can go chasing after Verstappen, rather than every single time you want to sign someone, you have to go out there, you have to break their contract. I think there should be some nice difference of, oh, I don't actually have to break this guy's contract, because he's just going to run out his own contract, he's going to be a free agent, let's try and pick him up then and just pay the salary. But over the years, a lot of the driver moves sometimes occur because, their contract's going to end and they just don't get a contract from their current team, so they are just left to basically just find a team to pay their salary. There's no buying out of contract years, so it'd be nice to actually have that. And then also at the same time, drivers coming to you in that same regard, if they are not going to re-sign, let's say, back to that example, Verstappen is not going to re-sign with Red Bull, allow him to come to me, like a little mechanic where it pops up with a driver market email, Verstappen would like to talk to you about signing, are you keen or are you not? And you can decide, oh, do I want to get rid of my current teammate? I kind of like him, so no, I'm not going to talk to Verstappen. Or you might want to talk to him just to see, but if you talk to him and then don't sign him, you might piss him off, and then you lose the chance to ever sign him again for the next 2 seasons. Or if you do go through, you sign him, and bish bash bosh, you got a new driver. So it'd be really cool to have that. Also, if the driver claim is enough, it maybe give them more power. So, like, let's say if a Lewis Hamilton comes to you and says he wants to sign for you, it doesn't even give you the option of do you want to talk to him. You will talk to him, but then you just decide do you want to actually take the offer or not. Number 3, going back to kind of money generation in the game, sponsors. I think there needs to be a bit more variety of what we're doing with sponsors. Taking out a loan from a sponsor potentially for higher goals could be a way. So let's say you're a little bit strapped for cash. You ask one of your main sponsors, your primary sponsor, can I have a bonus of 1 million just right now? And for that, I will allow you to move the goal higher. So you were going to say finish P5 in the championship, say P4, if you just give me this extra 1 million or 5 million or whatever it is for the higher goal. And at the same time, more variety just in the sponsor goals. I feel like the goals, after a while, again, once you've done a season and a half to 2 seasons, you've seen it all, unfortunately, which is kind of almost what I was a little bit worried about. But obviously, you can't complain too much because all of this is so new to us. So I think it's very easy for me to maybe sound negative about everything like here that I'm talking about. These are all amazing features. The fact that we've got them in the game is amazing. Let's not get away from that. But obviously, I love the F1 game. I love career mode. Man, my team has been awesome this year. But because I love it so much, I want to see it move forward every year. The only way we've had it move forward every single year, I feel, is because as a community, we all keep on banging on about improvements to make and stuff like that. And I want to see it move forward. So again, with the sponsors, just have more variety in the goals, more custom placements on the car as well. That's more to do with customization, but definitely I think the livery editor on next gen F1 for sure. There needs to be a full-blown livery editor where you can move the sponsors around, move shapes around, just like they have in GT Sport basically for the console players. Because for PC, obviously it's fine, we can mod, but for the console players, you guys need an actual livery editor like GT Sport. That's definitely a must, I think, in my opinion, for next gen. But yeah, the sponsors just have a bit more variety with how we kind of take money from them and maybe request more money. Number 4 is going to be my final point really on money in the game. This is just a more general kind of cash flow improvement. Allow us to go into the red, allow us to go bankrupt or into the red. And if we have to try and dig ourselves out, Motorsport Manager, I kept on saying, spend money to make money. And that phrase only really works when you're actually going negative, because you're kind of spending money, you're going into the red, but that's because you're going to improve the car and go into the green later on. Allow us to actually dip into negative, have a nice graph there on the financial graph that goes into the red. And then, maybe even penalize us if we can't get out of the red. Let's say, if you go into debt, you have 5-6 races to get yourself back out of the red. Otherwise, you get penalized at an entire acclaim level or something. So you're level 18, you're in debt for too long, for like 7 races, and so you go from level 18 to level 17 acclaim. You have to build that back up, because obviously in real life, if you're a company or a race team that was in financial issues, your kind of stature would go down a little bit. People would be like, I don't want to invest in them, I don't want to kind of work with them potentially. So the acclaim level would go down in that kind of sense when you talk about game mechanics. So just having a bit more fluidity with our transaction, because if it was real life, obviously you could go into the red. You can't just glitch your way to 0 like I did in that bankruptcy video and just kind of hover around there. Number 5 is going to be all about HQ developments. I think there needs to be more obstacles potentially to getting HQ developments, because I've got to spec 2 now in my career mode, and I can kind of see we're going to get to spec 3 eventually in the next season or so, but there's in a way there's no use to it at the moment, because I'm not being bottlenecked by my R&D tree. And so in a way, I think it needs to be way more difficult to actually do these upgrades. There needs to be hurdles we go through, potentially, failures of the HQ. I don't know what you can make up, like building fault or something, or I don't know, like the work was delayed, or there's a workers strike or whatever, and there's a delay to building HQ, or I don't know, just more obstacles in the way. And then also have more variety in the HQ development, like have other little Easter egg bits. Like, I'm going to keep on saying Motorsport Manager just because it's a great game for that managerial side of things, and they can try and copy so many ideas basically and implement it into this game now, of having like the helipad, you need to buy a helipad to try and generate some extra income, or just have some staff center improvements, rather than just you have personnel for the teammate. Why not personnel for your staff? And that might improve your pit stop time, because I don't believe there's actually any way to improve your pit stop time in the game anymore, which we used to have. So maybe that needs to be a team building thing on the HQ side to give us more, more options to spend money, because the more options you give us, the more thinly spread we'll be, and therefore we won't progress as much as quickly, essentially. Just basically things to slow down those of us who are maybe a little bit better at playing the game and kind of can see the game mechanics and kind of already got to the point where we're kind of bottlenecking ourselves. And finally, number 6 is going to be the R&D tree. It has not really changed that much in terms of the mechanics, the way it works. I think I was almost disappointed to see the fact that the R&D tree is pretty much the same for everyone in terms of my team. I think it might be slightly different if you choose engine supplier, potentially, I don't know, but the rest of it is all the same, which makes some sort of sense because it's the FOM car, so it should kind of be the same, but I think they could have tweaked it in a way, the interviews we had with Will Buxton at the start, and that kind of determined how good the car was at the very start of the career mode and where we had HQ investment already in. I think from those answers, it should have also changed the shape of the tree. So if we answered saying, oh, our aero department's awesome, that should also give us a bigger part of the aero tree, or maybe even a smaller one. And if we don't say much about the chassis side of things, maybe the HQs don't have investment, and also the chassis side of the tree is much bigger, because there's so much more for us to go, because we've not really invested in the chassis. Same for the engine-wise. I think just to customize the shape a little bit, extend the tree, or make it wider, or whatever you need to do to add more kind of depth to it. And again, like was the case when you did normal career mode, from every F1 team, they have different shaped trees. Allow players to have different shaped My Team car trees, depending on what they answered. So you have a fully customizable tree to what you prefer and how you've answered those questions. At the same time as well, away from shaping the tree due to your questions, I just feel like, maybe there's, I don't know what the refresh would be, but now about, what is it, 3-4 years on now, potentially now it's time to look into what can Cody's do to refresh the R&D tree, like what new mechanics could there be, or kind of a new look to it, to just change up a little bit, because it has been literally the same sort of look now for like 4 years. So I personally, this is the part where I put my hands up, I don't know what they could actually do to make it feel a bit different, but I don't know, just look into it, because I feel like it'd be a shame if we get to next year's game and lo and behold, oh, it's another four kind of spoke tree, it's the same sort of thing, little tiles, and it's like the same shape, the same kind of mechanics of just work your way up. I don't know what they would do to change it, but it would be cool just to see some sort of difference, a foundation, make it look a little bit and work a little bit different. But those are my 6 ideas and improvements to current F1 2020 My Team Career Mode features. So no new, well, there are a few new ideas, but they're kind of bolted on from what we've got. So as I said in the middle of that video, as much as it may sound a little bit negative potentially, and I hope it doesn't sound too negative in my tone, because I absolutely love this game. It's, in my opinion, the best game we've got so far in terms of career mode, and we've come on so far, and so, some of these features, I've said it before in the build-up to this game coming out, I wouldn't have imagined them being in the F1 game. But you can always strive to do better, and you can always strive to be better, and as a big fan of the game mode, I want it to do better for next year's game. So these improvements, things that I've already seen, having only played a season and a half, that I can already tell that, oh, this would be much better here, this and that. So hopefully it's something that you guys agree with and did enjoy those ideas as well. If you did, then be sure to hit that like button. Like I said, let me know in the comments below if you have any improvements of your own to do with the current features that I maybe didn't mention, or I've completely forgotten about, I've skipped my memory. Let me know in the comments below, all that good stuff. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.